Okay, I want to get you out on this, um, James. So we've seen the highs a few years ago. We've seen the lows of coronavirus and other times, and we're always basically kind of bouncing off the highs and the lows. Would you say right now you sort of feel like we're in the middle? Like this is like what a sustainable, healthy hiring market really looks like? Do you feel like this is like, yeah, it's never really always going to be here, but this is about like where it should be?
Kind of like with real estate. There's a
Yeah.
buyer's market, a seller's market, or a stable market. Are
Yeah.
we in is this a stable market?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say some things that are gonna make me probably somewhat unpopular. Um,
Too late.
yeah, I know. Yeah, dude, I got red hair.
Yeah.
I'm used to rejection. Yeah, I was born to be rejected. Um, so I I found 2020 through 2024 to be really difficult. 2020 was really difficult because the drop off was so rapid. I'm sure you guys remember this conversation. This was an off air conversation, guys. But Dylan and Max and I had just finished probably recording our third or fourth coronavirus update. When we closed off, Dylan and Max were like, "Is this? Do you think this is going to get worse?" And I kind of filled them in on what I thought was going to happen, and the look on their face was not good. And I said to them, "You don't ever have to talk to me again or invite me on another show." And they were very polite and they invited me back, but they did take 2 months off from calling me. Um, so that was not fun from the standpoint of, even though like I wasn't in danger of losing my job, obviously the business at Raven was doing very well. It hurts to watch people suffer like that. Like I don't know what it's like for you guys, but I don't feel like, oh, hey, just deal with it. Like it sucked for me, it's gonna suck for you. Like it was painful to I mean, I had many adults on the phone crying. Like it was actually extremely painful. I hope to never experience something like that again. It was pretty painful on the opposite side in the recovery for a different reason. When things started to get better very, very rapidly and people were progressing very rapidly, nobody was happy. So we would have folks get hired at what their dream company was. And within 6 months to a year, they were calling back to do a coaching session over, I'm miserable and I don't understand why. And it was scary because when you climb the top of Everest and you go, shit, I don't like the view. Well, there's really no other mountain to climb. And you just spent a lot of energy to get there. A lot of the reason on why people felt that way was it came too quick. And so without struggle, and I'm not trying to get like existential or cheesy about it, but without struggle, it's really difficult to appreciate and enjoy it. If you put too much struggle in, there is resentment and anger by the time you get there. Reference airline guys retiring in 2008, right? Like, I mean, if the struggle is too high, then it's punishing, right? And people are very unhappy for a different set of reasons. It's more the resentment and the anger of what it took to get there. But if it's too easy, that happiness is evasive as well, but it's for a different reason because we are humans, we thrive on challenge, right? People's bar stories are not about, let me tell you about the perfect day where everything went well. It's let me tell you about how everything went to shit and I was able to come through it, right? And so we're in a situation right now where, from my opinion, there's a perfect balance of tension. There is going to be struggle. You are going to have to overcome things, but there's going to be growth and there's going to be excitement and there's going to be pride in doing that. And the light at the end of the tunnel is still bright. It's not a freight train coming your way. And when you get there, because it was a struggle, there will be a higher degree of happiness and a higher degree of appreciation when you get there. what I find right now is most of the people that we're talking to are not particularly angry or resentful that they're having to work for it. They're just confused over, should it be this difficult and am I working hard in the right way? If I go to the gym and I lift a weight and it's heavy, I want to at least know that I'm going to build a muscle while I'm doing it, not that I'm literally picking the weight up with the incorrect form and it's not actually doing it. But the tension that we have right now, if we kept it this way for the rest of the time in the business, would really be great. And I understand that there's going to be plenty of people that will not agree with me on that.
I think that's really well said because I'll tell you, 20 years ago, I would not have been able to appreciate that. But having after living life and experiencing exactly what you've talked about, it is doing the hard things gives you the satisfaction. And Max and I talked about this on the show a couple years ago. If you got hired at Delta when you're
No.
25, like, now what? You got 40
Yeah,
years of sitting there, and it's like taking a helicopter to the top of a mountain versus hiking a
that's
mountain.
correct. That is correct.
It's like it's a completely different experience, even though you're both on the top of the mountain. One of them is this, like you said, the tension and the struggle to go through something to achieve something. So I think that's a really interesting perspective.
Yeah, it's human nature. I mean, it's what
Yeah,
that's why some people can never people that struggle financially can never understand how somebody that is a billionaire can be miserable. It's
yeah,
like
Yes. Yeah,
you can't, there's no appreciation without any struggle or without it having to work for something. Or when you can have whatever you want, everything is meaningless. Like it doesn't.
yeah.
and our role when we're working with people is to make sure to the maximum extent possible that the struggle that they're going through is leading them to something that they want. So if you think this is going to sound a little weird and existential, but there are two types of suffering. There is suffering that ends suffering and suffering that creates more suffering. So when you go out at 5 in the morning to lift weights or go for a run or ride a bike, right? And you're tired and you don't want to get up, and man, it would be a lot better if I slept in for another hour, right? That's suffering that ends suffering, right? Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, it's hard, but it's getting me something I want. It's getting me health. It's getting me physical fitness. Whatever it is that you want out of that, right? That's different. And then if you wake up at 5 in the morning and I just sit there and scream at you for an hour about how you're a piece of garbage, that's not actually productive. That's actually just suffering that's just going to continue to hurt. And so when we're working with clients and they're coming to us and they're going, I know it's going to be hard, right? Nobody's coming to us right now going, can you make it easy for me? They're not. They may be going someplace else, but they're not calling us. Um, but what they're looking at is, hey, if I'm going to work hard at this, can I at least make sure that I'm working hard for the right thing, or that the hard work that I'm putting in is going to lead me someplace? They don't want to end up suffering just to suffer. They're willing to put themselves through it, but they want to give themselves the best chance of ending up someplace that they want to be.
Yep.
All right.
You can say the same thing for a lot of things. I've said it a million times on the show. You cannot appreciate living in base as an airline pilot until you've commuted.
Absolutely correct.
You have to have contrast between things. Now, if I could just figure out how to explain this to my kids, it's very hard to get this point across to,
Yeah. But
kids that every,
if you really sit down and think about it though, none of your good stories about how everything went well.
no, absolutely
It
not, man.
it's it's
The
about how
spice
it
of
went to
life.
shit it's how it went to shit and you figured it out. And
Yep.
and right now it's not going to shit, but it is more difficult than it was.